Hey there. Picture this. You're popping a tiny pill tonight, thinking it'll help you drift off into dreamland. But what if I told you that same innocent-looking tablet is actually erasing tomorrow's memories? Sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? Well, buckle up, because reality's about to hit harder than your morning coffee. Here's the kicker. While you're counting sheep, your brain cells are literally shrinking. I'm not pulling your leg here. A groundbreaking 2024 study published in JAMA Neurology just dropped a bombshell that's got the medical community's hair standing on end. We're talking about brain atrophy, folks. Your brain, that magnificent 3-pound universe inside your skull, could be wasting away, cranking up your dementia risk by a whopping 50%. That's not a typo. 50%. Now, I've been practicing cardiology for years, and if there's one thing that keeps me up at night, it's watching millions of people unknowingly play Russian roulette with their cognitive health. Today, I'm gonna walk you through 5 medication groups that are like termites to your brain's foundation. But here's where it gets really juicy. I'm gonna reveal the secret scorecard scientists use to measure this risk. They call it the Anticholinergic burden scale, and trust me, once you understand how this works, you'll never look at your pill bottle the same way again. And that number 1 medication on our list? Man, it's gonna knock your socks off. Millions of folks are grabbing it off drugstore shelves without a second thought, treating it like candy, when it's actually carrying the maximum danger score for your precious gray matter. The irony's so thick you could cut it with a knife. Before we dive deeper into this rabbit hole, do me a solid. Smash that like button if this information's already making those gears turn in your head. Hit subscribe and ring that notification bell, because content like this doesn't just entertain, it could literally save lives. Think about it. Your parents, your grandparents, that aunt who's always complaining about her memory. Sharing this video in your family group chat isn't just nice, it's necessary. Now, I'm curious. Are you or someone you love taking sleep aids, allergy pills, or anxiety meds regularly? And where are you watching from? Drop a comment below and let's build this community of awareness together. But hold that thought, because what I'm about to explain next is going to make everything click into place. And honestly, it's the missing puzzle piece most doctors don't even mention during appointments. Alright, let's get real about what's actually happening inside your skull when you take these medications. Imagine your brain's like this incredible construction site, right? Every memory you make, every thought you think, every time you focus on something, it all depends on these tiny little bricks called acetylcholine. Think of acetylcholine as the messenger running between your brain cells, shouting, "Remember this," or "Pay attention to that." Without it, the whole system falls apart like a house of cards in a hurricane. Now here's where things get fascinating, and a bit scary. Your body doesn't just magically produce acetylcholine out of thin air. Nope, it needs a raw ingredient called choline, which you get from foods like eggs, especially those golden yolks everybody used to fear. Liver, meat, fish, soybeans, and veggies like broccoli and cauliflower. Your body's essentially a chef, taking that choline and cooking it up into acetylcholine. But then along comes an anticholinergic medication, and boom, it's like a wrecking ball smashing through your brain's construction site. These drugs don't just block acetylcholine, they absolutely obliterate it. We're talking total demolition. The brick crumbles into dust, and suddenly that person's name you were trying to remember? Gone. That task you needed to focus on vanished into thin air. It's like trying to build a skyscraper while someone's constantly stealing your materials. Ever had that frustrating experience where a word's just sitting there on the tip of your tongue, taunting you? Or that fog rolling through your mind when you're trying to concentrate? That's not just aging, my friend. For millions of people, it's chemical sabotage happening in real time. Your most precious thoughts are being hijacked, rerouted, lost in transit. Now you might be scratching your head wondering how something that messes with a single chemical messenger could possibly lead to your brain actually shrinking. I mean, that sounds extreme, doesn't it? Well, the answer's going to blow your mind, and it involves a sinister connection that researchers are only now beginning to fully understand, which brings us to something that's keeping neuroscientists awake at night. So we've established that these anticholinergic drugs are blocking your brain's communication system. But the plot thickens like a mystery novel you can't put down. Recent neuroimaging studies, basically high-tech brain scans that let scientists peek inside your skull, are revealing a truth that's darker than we ever imagined. When you chronically block acetylcholine, day after day, month after month, year after year, you're not just causing a temporary communication breakdown. Oh no, it's way worse than that. Your brain starts throwing an inflammatory tantrum. Think of it like a protest happening inside your head, except instead of signs and chanting, you've got inflamed tissue and damaged cells. But wait, it gets even more twisted. These medications appear to be rolling out the red carpet for something called beta-amyloid plaques. If that term sounds familiar, it should. These are the same nasty protein clumps that are literally the trademark of Alzheimer's disease. It's like these drugs are setting up the perfect storm for cognitive decline, building the very foundations of dementia brick by brick. And just when you thought it couldn't get more complicated, a 2025 article published in JAMA revealed an even stronger connection, this time with vascular dementia. We're talking about a double threat here. Not only are these medications sabotaging your neural communication and inviting those Alzheimer's plaques to the party, they're also potentially messing with your brain's blood vessels. The tiny arteries and capillaries that feed your brain oxygen and nutrients, they're being compromised, strangled, damaged. Your brain's literally gasping for breath while being attacked from multiple angles. This is why scientists had to create a scoring system to measure the carnage. They call it the Anticholinergic Burden Scale, or ACB for short. It's like a danger meter running from 1 to 3, where higher numbers mean you're playing with more fire. A score of 1 is like a warning light flickering on your dashboard. A score of 3. That's full-on alarm bells, sirens wailing, red lights flashing everywhere. But here's where theory meets reality, and this is where I need you to get up off that couch and take action right this second, because what I'm about to ask you to do could change everything. Alright, let's make this personal. I'm not just gonna list medications and bore you to tears with medical jargon. We're gonna do something different. Right now, I want you to pause what you're doing and go grab that shoebox, that drawer, that basket where you keep all your medications. I'll wait. Seriously, go get it. Got it? Good. Now we're gonna play detective together. And trust me, what you're about to discover might just save your brain. Here's the thing most people don't realize. That big fancy name on the front of your pill bottle? That's just marketing, baby. That's the commercial name designed to sound trustworthy and medical. But what you really need to hunt for is hiding in smaller print, usually on the side or back of the box. It's called the active ingredient or composition. This is your target. This is where the truth lives. Forget the colorful packaging and clever branding. You need to be a label-reading ninja from this point forward. Once you spot that active ingredient, that's when you'll know if you're holding a friend or a foe. And for every medication I'm about to reveal, I want you checking your stash. If you find a match, write down its score. We're gonna add them up later, and let me tell you, the total might shock you more than finding out your favorite celebrity's actually a jerk. Here's an insider secret that'll make this easier. Some medications have multiple active ingredients. Don't just check one and call it a day. Read the whole composition section. Sometimes the devil's hiding in the second or third ingredient, laughing at everyone who only looked at the first one. Now that you're armed and ready, clipboard in hand or phone notes open, let's start hunting. We're counting down from number 5, and each one's gonna hit different. Some of these you've probably got sitting in your cabinet right now, collecting dust, waiting to be used, just in case. But starting with number 5, you're about to discover that convenience sometimes comes with a price tag your brain can't afford to pay. Coming in at number 5 on our countdown, we've got medications for urinary incontinence. Now, I know this isn't exactly cocktail party conversation, but stay with me because millions of people, especially as they get older, deal with an overactive bladder, and the medications prescribed for this condition are packing some serious anticholinergic punch. These drugs work by relaxing your bladder muscle, which sounds great when you're tired of planning your entire life around bathroom locations. But here's the catch that nobody mentions in those TV commercials. To relax that bladder muscle, these medications have to block acetylcholine. And they don't just block it in your bladder. Nope, they block it everywhere, including your brain. It's like trying to turn off one light switch but accidentally flipping the whole breaker and plunging your entire house into darkness. Take oxybutynin, sold under brand names like Incontinol. This stuff's incredibly effective at calming down an overactive bladder. People swear by it. But check this out. It carries a score of 3 on that anticholinergic burden scale we talked about. That's maximum danger territory, folks. The highest score possible. You're trading bladder control for brain function. And most people have absolutely no idea this swap's happening. Now before you panic and flush all your medications down the toilet. Please don't do that, by the way. There's good news hiding in this story. Modern medicines come up with alternatives that don't ransack your brain while fixing your bladder. Mirabegron, sold as Myrbetriq, works through a completely different mechanism and scores a beautiful 0 on the brain risk scale. 0. Plus, there are non-medication approaches like pelvic floor physical therapy and Kegel exercises that can be surprisingly effective, especially when combined with other lifestyle tweaks. But here's the thing. Protecting your brain from bladder medication doesn't mean much if you're regularly taking something for an even more common complaint, something that sends millions of people to the pharmacy every single week. And that's exactly where our number 4 pick comes into play, because this one's probably sitting in your kitchen drawer or your purse right this very moment. Number 4 on our hit list is going to surprise some folks, because we're talking about medications for cramps and irritable bowel syndrome. You know, those stomach issues that make you double over in pain and send you running to the nearest pharmacy. These antispasmodic drugs work by relaxing your intestinal muscles, smoothing out those painful spasms that feel like your gut's doing gymnastics. The rock star in this category is Buscopan, and its generic versions containing scopolamine as the active ingredient. This medication's been around forever, sitting in medicine cabinets across the country, used by everyone from teenagers with period cramps to adults with chronic digestive issues. It's so common, so accessible, so seemingly harmless that people take it without a second thought. Pop a pill, feel better, move on with your day. But here's where that casual approach starts looking dangerous. Scopolamine works by blocking acetylcholine to relax those intestinal muscles. See the pattern forming here? And while it carries a score of 1 on our scale, which might sound low compared to the 3 we just talked about, don't let that fool you. That score of 1 is like a slow drip, drip, drip of water on a stone. One dose doesn't carve a canyon, but years of regular use? That's when the erosion happens. That's when the cumulative damage starts stacking up like bills you've been ignoring. For people dealing with IBS, there are actually some pretty promising alternatives that don't involve messing with your brain chemistry. Peppermint oil has shown real effectiveness in clinical studies. Probiotics can help restore balance to your gut microbiome. Dietary changes, identifying trigger foods and eliminating them, can be absolutely transformative. And here's something doctors don't emphasize enough. Stress management. Your gut and your brain are connected through what scientists call the gut-brain axis. So managing stress isn't just good for your mind, it's crucial for your digestive health too. You've probably used Buscopan or something similar at some point, and maybe you're feeling a bit uneasy right now. But if a simple cramp medication is raising red flags, just wait until you hear about number 3 on our list. This is where things get really serious because we're entering territory that affects millions of people struggling with mental health, and some of these medications are carrying that maximum danger score of 3. Landing at number 3, we need to talk about certain antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications. And this is where I need you to really pay attention, because mental health is sacred ground, and I'm not about to tell anyone to mess with their psychiatric medications without proper guidance. But you deserve to know what's really happening. The older class of antidepressants called tricyclics, medications like amitriptyline and clomipramine, they pack a serious anticholinergic wallop. These drugs were revolutionary when they first came out, genuinely helping people climb out of the dark pit of depression. But they come from an era when we didn't fully understand all their effects on the brain. And some antihistamines used for anxiety like hydroxyzine, sold as Hixazine, they're sedating powerhouses that also happen to be extremely anticholinergic. We're talking score of 3 territory again. Maximum risk. That sedation you feel? That's not some magical calming effect that's separate from everything else. That drowsiness is your brain function being suppressed, acetylcholine being blocked, communication between neurons slowing to a crawl. It's effective for anxiety because it literally slows your brain down. But the price for that temporary peace might be paid years down the line when memory problems start creeping in. Now here's where I need to be crystal clear, and I'm gonna say this loud enough for the people in the back. Never, and I mean never, stop a psychiatric medication on your own. Going cold turkey off antidepressants or anti-anxiety meds can be dangerous, causing withdrawal effects that range from uncomfortable to downright scary. These medications need to be tapered under medical supervision. Period. End of story. But, and this is a big but, modern psychiatry has given us alternatives that don't carry that same brain burden. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors like sertraline and escitalopram, or newer options like vortioxetine, they work through completely different pathways and score 0 on the anticholinergic scale. For anxiety and insomnia, trazodone has minimal to 0 anticholinergic effects. The conversation you need to have with your psychiatrist isn't, should I stop taking my medication? It's, can we explore alternatives that protect my brain while still managing my mental health? We've covered bladder issues, stomach problems, and mental health medications. But what about that ache in your back after a long day? What about those muscle spasms that make you wince every time you move? That's where number 2 comes in, and this category of medication is so widely used, so casually prescribed, that most people don't realize they're taking one of the riskiest drug types for their brain. Sliding into second place on our countdown, we've got muscle relaxants. Those pills that millions of people reach for after throwing out their back, dealing with a sports injury, or suffering from chronic muscle tension. And the heavyweight champion in this category, especially here in our country, is cyclobenzaprine, sold under brand names like Myosin and Myoflex A. This medication's incredibly popular because it works. When your muscles are locked up tighter than a bank vault, cyclobenzaprine comes in and forces them to relax. People love it because they can finally sleep, finally move without grimacing, finally get some relief from pain that's been dominating their existence. But that drowsiness you feel? That heavy, can't keep your eyes open sensation? That's not just a side effect. It's a flashing neon sign screaming that this drug is working on your brain, not just your muscles. And check this out. Cyclobenzaprine carries a score of 3. Maximum risk. The highest danger level possible. Now, taking it once in a while for an acute injury? That's probably fine. Your back goes out, you take it for a few days while you recover, then you stop. But here's where people get into trouble. Chronic use. Month after month, sometimes year after year, people take this medication daily for ongoing pain issues, not realizing they're essentially sedating their brain into cognitive decline. The foundation for treating chronic pain isn't masking it with sedatives. It's addressing the root cause. Physical therapy, strength training, corrective exercises, proper ergonomics, these are what actually fix the problem. And for pain management, there are analgesics that don't carry this brain burden. The goal isn't to chemically force your muscles to relax, it's to heal the underlying issue so they can relax naturally. But if you think a muscle relaxant that people take occasionally for back pain is concerning, wait until you see what's coming at number 1. This is the medication I've been building up to, the one I promised would shock you, and I wasn't exaggerating. It's dangerous precisely because everyone thinks it's harmless. It's sitting on shelves right next to candy and chewing gum, available without a prescription, used by millions who have absolutely no idea they're playing with fire. And here we are, number 1 on our countdown. The champion. The most dangerous medication on this list, not because it's the most potent per se, but because it's the most common, the most accessible, the most underestimated, and the most misused medication we're going to talk about today. We're talking about diphenhydramine. You might know it from cough lozenges and cold medicines, and dimenhydrinate. But you definitely know that second one by its brand name, Dramamine. Yeah, that's right. Plain old Dramamine, the stuff people toss in their bags for road trips, the medicine grandma takes for dizziness, the tablet people pop for nausea. Both of these are anticholinergic monsters carrying a maximum score of 3, and they cross into your brain easier than a VIP walking past a velvet rope. That drowsiness you get from Dramamine? That's not some mysterious side effect. That's the drug flooding your brain, blocking acetylcholine, shutting down communication between neurons. And here's the part that makes me want to pull my hair out. People take this stuff every single night to help them sleep. They think they're being smart, using an over-the-counter solution instead of serious sleep medications. They tell themselves it's safer because it doesn't require a prescription. It's just Dramamine, doc. What's the harm? The harm is massive. You're giving your brain a daily dose of one of the biggest known risk factors for dementia. Taking Dramamine occasionally for motion sickness during a long car ride or a boat trip. Okay, that's reasonable. Using it for acute nausea or a bout of dizziness. Sure, it has its place. But using just half a tablet every single night as a sleep aid? That's like drinking a little bit of poison every day and wondering why you're sick. For allergies, switch to modern antihistamines like loratadine or fexofenadine. Both score 0 on the anticholinergic scale. 0 risk to your brain while still handling your symptoms. For sleep issues, you need to investigate the root cause. Why can't you sleep? Is it stress? Poor sleep hygiene? Sleep apnea? Restless leg syndrome? Addressing the actual problem with solutions like melatonin, magnesium supplements, fixing your sleep environment, establishing a bedtime routine, these are real solutions. Using an anticholinergic medication as a sleep aid is like using a cannon to kill an ant, except in this case, the cannon's pointed at your own head. So now you've seen all 5 categories, and maybe you found 1 or 2 of these medications during our audit. Maybe you're feeling a bit nervous. But before you spiral into panic mode, we need to talk about something that makes this situation even more critical than you might think. Something that could turn a small risk into a catastrophic one. So you did the audit. Maybe you found that medication for stomach cramps with a score of 1. Not too bad, right? And perhaps you're also taking that muscle relaxant for your chronic back pain. Score of 3. Still manageable, you think. After all, they're for different problems, different parts of your body. They shouldn't interact, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. And this is the part that might be the most important thing you learn today. Your risk doesn't stay at 1 or 3. Those scores don't exist in isolation, each one politely waiting its turn. No, they stack up, they pile on, they compound like interest on a debt you didn't know you owed. In this example, your daily anticholinergic burden isn't 1 or 3, it's 4. You're walking around with a cumulative score of 4, and here's the terrifying part. Research shows that a total score of 3 or more, maintained over an extended period, is strongly associated with brain damage and cognitive decline. It's like taking small doses of poison every single day. One dose might not hurt you, but multiple doses from multiple sources, day after day, month after month, year after year, the effect multiplies. The damage accumulates. The risk compounds. This is why that complete medicine cabinet audit we did together is absolutely vital. You can't just look at one medication and think you're safe. You need the full picture, the complete calculation, the total burden you're placing on your brain. Let me paint you a picture. Meet Roberto, a 78-year-old man who used to be sharp as a tack, active, engaged, living his life to the fullest. But lately, things have been slipping. First it was car keys. Then the name of that actor from his favorite old movies. What's his name again? You know who I mean. The family chuckles, brushes it off as senior moments, just part of getting older. But Roberto's also been battling insomnia for years. Every night, without fail, he takes just a little pill to help him drift off. Nobody ever connected the dots. Nobody thought to add up his medications and calculate his total anticholinergic burden. Nobody imagined that the very pill helping him sleep at night was systematically eroding his ability to remember what he ate for breakfast. And Roberto's story isn't unique. It's playing out in thousands of homes right now, silently, invisibly, tragically. Here's the data that should make your jaw drop. Researchers estimate that approximately 10% of all dementia diagnoses can be directly attributed to the use of anticholinergic medications. 10%. That's not some tiny, insignificant number. That's comparable to major risk factors like hypertension and diabetes. Think about that for a second. 1 in every 10 cases of dementia might be preventable if we just paid attention to medication burden. This is why you need to share this video. This is why awareness matters. This is why I'm standing here talking to you instead of just seeing patients in my clinic. Because this information needs to reach every household, every family, every person who's taking medications or caring for someone who is. And this brings us to what I call the principle of intelligent substitution. You don't have to go without treatment. You don't have to suffer with your symptoms. You don't have to choose between managing your current health problems and protecting your future brain function. Modern medicine has given us alternatives. Medications that work through different mechanisms that solve the same problems without that devastating anticholinergic burden. The next time you visit your doctor, you need to walk in armed with information. Ask them directly, "What's my total anticholinergic burden score? Can we apply the principle of intelligent substitution to my treatment plan? Are there safer alternatives that would protect my brain while still managing my conditions?" Don't be passive. Don't just accept prescriptions without understanding the long-term implications. Your brain is literally on the line here. Now you know what to avoid, but knowledge of danger is only half the battle. The flip side, the positive, proactive steps you can take to protect and enhance your cognitive function, that's equally important. You need to know what you should be doing, what supplements and lifestyle changes can help fortify your brain against decline. I've created another video specifically about the best supplements for brain health, evidence-based interventions that can help maintain and even improve your cognitive function. You'll find it linked here. Your brain is the most complex, precious organ in your body. It's the seat of your memories, your personality, your ability to recognize the faces of people you love. Protecting it isn't optional. It's essential. Every pill you take, every decision you make about your healthcare, it all adds up. Make those decisions count. Be informed. Be proactive. Be the guardian of your own cognitive future. If this video opened your eyes, hit that like button and share it with everyone you care about. Protecting the memories of our loved ones starts with awareness, and awareness starts with you taking action right now. Your brain will thank you for it, today and decades from now.